Hello and welcome to DDOCast episode 630, recorded live on Sunday, February 28th. I'm your host, Patrick. With me this week, we have Arkat again.
Good afternoon,
Yeah.
everybody in podcast land.
Hey, we've survived 2 months of 2021.
So far, so good.
Things are looking up.
Yeah, getting better.
This week's screenshot. Gildanara, Creef, Crystal, and Groovy Girl are a group of friends who met through tabletop D&D 40 years ago, who now hang out and adventure together weekly in DDO. We're honored to be your hangout. Thanks for this week's screenshot. Yeah, it's a nice angle. I'm pretty sure that's the
That's a Stormreach Beacon.
The Stormreach Beacon, yeah.
Yeah.
But it has a different angle than we usually see.
Right.
In that regard. So.
And the ramp, the ice ramp. Is the ice ramp? Did they have that this year?
You
can tell I hardly ever go to the harbor.
If they did, I missed it.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure that they did. But yeah, there you go. We like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can catch us through Twitch, YouTube, the DDO forums, iTunes, or from our website at DDOCast.com. DDOCast is hosted by Cyber Ears, the awesome podcast hosting network, and shows are usually available within a few days of recording. The next show will probably be next weekend, and you can stay updated by following us on our social media pages or our website, DDOCast.com, with our calendar. On the podcast this week, we're going to take a look at the producer's letter. Severlin did a Q&A, and that's going to be kind of our big topic today. We will talk, well, here, just jump into the game news and make it official that we're in game news, which really just means nothing other than this is where the timestamp that I put in the show notes is going to be. But in any case, so one of the things that happened this week is we got update 48.4. And what we're going to do with that is we'll kind of go through it, but this is not going to be really in-depth. The last 2 weeks, we did the Lemania 1 and Lemania 2 round of it. So a lot of this is still the same, so shouldn't have to go through it line by line or anything like that. We'll kind of highlight some of the newer stuff, maybe call some things out, as it were. So the anniversary event has arrived. Expect lots of fun in-jokes and references to quests throughout TDO's history in the returning anniversary event. Running the anniversary challenge gets you party favors that can be turned in for great rewards. This year, the reward list includes a new red crystal crown, a new Dretch creature companion, and the 13 Eberron house cloaks given away in a prior anniversary. I'm hoping next year they'll add the maybe the sentient gem of the dragon. It seems like an obvious place to put that, right? Was the reward?
Yeah, I mean
year.
It was an anniversary thing last year, wasn't it? So
yeah,
why not add as a reward for the event?
Yeah. The free gifts. Oh, sorry. The anniversary event is available through March 23rd. Free gifts. You can open the DDO store and click on redeem code, then type in the coupon code HAPPY15DDO to get your gifts. The coupon code is available to redeem once per account through December 31st, 2021. The coupon code will get you 2 free gifts. A 15th anniversary token that can be used to select a named raid item from certain raids for your character. That token is bound to account. All of the items received are bound to characters. So, 1, make sure you redeem the coupon code on the game world where you want to have the item. And 2, make sure what you'll do is you'll go talk to the anniversary Djinn at the entrance to the anniversary dungeon in House Fjorlin. And he'll offer you any of the raid items using your token as an ingredient in a barter box. They said that he should be around all year, sounds like. Mm-hmm. Which makes his placement a little strange, because once the anniversary event ends in, a month, it's going to be a little like, oh, why is there a Djinn here? That's kind of strange.
There's that guy. Oh, yeah, I forgot about him. Yeah.
He'll offer you some stuff in a barter box. That's the kind of crafty windowy thing. They call it a barter box. I'm not sure that name still makes a lot of sense to me because it's used in like crafting everywhere now. But such as it is. The list of stuff you can get there. It's basically the previous Raiders reward box, which was the 10th anniversary, which they gave to every character, not once per account. Can we talk about the stinginess of one token?
I'm just I just couldn't believe it was just going to be one. I mean,
Yeah.
it was. Is it? I mean, are these items still so relevant that you couldn't give one to every character? I mean, seriously?
Or even like let me redeem the coupon code 4 times or 3 to 5 times or something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, one is just kind of deflatingly disappointing.
yeah,
I think. Um,
yeah.
the other thing you get here is a 15th anniversary cosmetic cloak bound to account and will be delivered to every future character created on that account. Yay, more cosmetics. The cloak does look pretty cool. I do like the look of it.
I don't. I think it's very tacky, frankly. And if
Sure.
they, I mean, they put the 15 on the the depiction of the D20, and if they had just like not put 15 on there, it would have looked better. But it's really really bright red, and I just think it looks kind of tacky.
So you're talking about have it be it would still have the D20, just not the 15.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't mind the 15. Um, it's it's an interesting look. I think it's very red, some gems, stones on it. Um, yeah, I kind of like it. Uh, Cordova did answer a question about this, and specifically, can I redeem this on hardcore? The hardcore league's coming up. His response was, quote, "Good question. I don't know that we've actually considered it, although my gut impression is that no, people shouldn't be able to get a leg up with that kind of gear or XP on hardcore using the anniversary token. I would
it's an
not
it's
expect to see the Jin trade in NPC on the hardcore world."
yeah. It's an event. It's part of the event, and they never have events on
Yeah.
hardcore. So, I mean, the answer should have been just plain old no.
I mean, if they haven't discussed it, I don't think he can make that decision himself. But in any case, by the way, if you don't want any of the items that are out of the raid things that you can pick, there is an XP option. I think I would have preferred it to have been a sentient XP option or both. But XP is pretty ubiquitously useful if you don't
Oh
want
yeah.
anything else in there. As far as if you're not sure what to get, the XP is an option. I would recommend the Epic Litany of the Dead,
Yep.
because you can turn if you get a empty soul vessel out of Ravenloft, you can
Not
turn that
Ravenloft.
in
It's Feywild.
Feywild. Thank you. Empty soul vessel from Feywild, you can turn it into a augment that is +2 profane to all of your stats, which is fantastic.
Yes.
So,
That's what I'm gonna do with mine.
uh, new raid. Back to release note. New raid is available. The Dryad and the Demigod. Do you want to give first impressions?
Um, it's a raid. Um, one of the things that I do like is the double. If you do the optionals, you'll get
Yep.
double the chests. But the cool thing is that in both chests are possible, named items. Raid items. So it's pretty good. The one thing that I'm sort of disappointed in were the augments. The augments are basically treated as raid items, and so if you get an augment in the chest, that means no other raid item for you. So it's a little disappointing
Mm.
from that perspective. I mean, maybe they could have put it another chest, I don't know, hidden somewhere else in the raid or something that you could access at the end or something where you could have a chance at the augments. But no, it it's okay. I think that the singing part they went a little overboard on. I mean, that's a whole new thing, and I know and I know they wanted to do something different, and I get that. It's just that it just without turning the ambient audio down, it's just too dang loud. And the real pet peeve regarding the singing I have is at the very end, after you take out, you deal with the Fomorian king, the singing just continues. It continues on for another, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 minutes.
So to
And if I
clarify,
had a,
is it the singing part, or is it just the fact that the raid takes so long to complete at the end?
well, yeah, I mean, and I guess it takes long to complete because the singing takes so long to finish up. I mean, if I had an elixir of discovery running, and I had, let's say, I don't know, just a few minutes left on that, so I could, maybe get, increase my chance of pulling a named item out of the raid chests. I'm be sitting there, tapping my foot. Come on, come on, come on, let's get this thing over with. And because and not only that, I mean that's annoying, but the after you defeat the Fomorian king, he still keeps fighting and can still kill you. And same with that dang, black unicorn. It's still running around throwing circles around, even though the raid is basically over. So they really need to fix that.
There is a longer oh, what's the word? Denouement? Is that the right word?
Denouement is the tie up,
The
uh,
end
the
part.
ending tying up of the story, all the
Yeah.
loose ends kind of thing. Yeah,
It does have a long one of those.
yeah,
It's kind of along the lines of the caught in the web length,
yes,
as opposed to some of the quests. VOD completes pretty quick. Lord of Blades and Killing Time both have a little bit of a wind down,
hmm
but not nearly as long as this one.
right,
This one, I mean, part of it, I think it just feels longer because you're not doing anything; you're just waiting.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
would say it's probably what 45 seconds to a minute. I
I,
haven't
I,
timed it.
it, it really feels like it's longer than that, like 2, 3
Right.
minutes. But I've not timed it, so I really
Yeah.
don't know for sure.
Yeah. Um, I'll say that there's some things about this raid that I really like. Um, I think it does a really good job of giving feedback, player feedback.
Yeah,
By which
mhm,
I mean the dancing part. It gives you, like I like the arrows that are there.
yeah,
Same with the puzzles. The numbers could be a little bigger.
yeah. The
Um,
bottom of the stones. Yeah.
they're a little small. But I like that they're there. I like that the arrows show you which direction the stones are moving. Um, so I really like that feedback, and I think it is really good in the raid. I like a lot of the beats. It doesn't feel like too many puzzles. I would like if they were a little bit more. They had more solutions to them,
Hmm.
as opposed to like two solutions for each. But uh, I kind of like the raid. Um, I haven't really figured out the best way to handle the bear other than to kill him quickly, because that
Yeah,
sonic roar is mean.
it is.
Um, but I mean, I know you. I haven't experimented enough with it because on hard we tend to just kill him so fast that it's not even an issue. On Reaper, I've only done it a few times, so I haven't really gotten a handle for the spacing and where you need to be
Hmm.
to make that less of
Right.
a problem.
Yeah, the
Um,
rumor is that the further you are away from the bear when he stands up and does his roar, the more damage you take.
that is my
So that people,
understanding.
yeah, and it would be nice to be able to actually confirm that because I would like to see just how far away. I mean, maybe you can be really far away and you'd be fine. I don't know.
You can. There is a point in which you seem to be safe because I have had people that were far enough away that didn't get hit by it.
Oh, okay.
Um, but there is a range that I just haven't played around with the range enough.
Hmm.
Um, and I also don't have a good handle for how much damage it does in hard because again I haven't. I have only had to deal with it on Reaper, and I've only done Reaper a handful of like 3 or 4 times. Uh, so it's still kind of learning. The last thing I'll say too is I'm not entirely sure that it was a winner. Um, but I do appreciate that they went with a musical style. Um, I think one of the things that I think I've noticed from the team the last couple years is they're really leaning into the genre neutral ability of DDO. Right, like their Ravenloft was very kind of horror. Sharn
Hmm.
was very kind of noir. Feywild was very kind of.
Cheery.
I was gonna go more like classical fairy tale
Mm,
um,
okay.
kind of vibe, but they're really leaning into having taking some risks, as it were, and really kind of pulling different genres in, and I really like that. They're not all winners, but I like I like that they're doing that.
Hmm.
So, um,
I'm personally looking forward to the dinosaur genre.
caveman genre could be. Yeah, what if it all looks kind of like the Croods or something?
I haven't seen the Croods, but the Lost World,
Oh, sure.
jungly,
Jurassic
kind
Parky.
of thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. There's some fun. Monster horror would be an option there a little bit. Um, quick note on the raid. We talked previously about the Change Stone, and you can buy a Change Stone from the raid runes. Also, every time you open up the barter window, the barter box, or the for turning in the runes, the Change Stone that's available changes. So if you want to find the perfect one, you can just keep opening that up, and may the gods of uh, Eberron smile upon you to get the right one, or you might be clicking on it for a while.
Yeah, and you know what? I saw something in somebody's Discord chat, or it could have been Discord chat, or it could have been on the forums, that the one that you see, even after you've opened it up several times and it's changed, but the one that you say, "Oh, that's the perfect one," and then you trade for it, give the proper amount of runes, you don't necessarily get that one. It changes again. So
I thought that was something that was true on Lamania, but I don't know that if that's accurate.
okay, and it could be inaccurate, and just something that I pulled probably out of context, but um, I guess what my point would be is, don't be surprised if it's not what you think it is.
If it does that, if it was me, I would be submitting a ticket and say, "Hey,
Oh
this
yeah,
is what it was supposed to be. This
yeah,
is what it
yeah,
was.
right.
Give me my
I'd
money
be using a little
back."
more choice words than that, but yeah, no, I hear you.
Um, let's see. Like I said, we're gonna skip through a bunch of the release notes because we've talked about them on Lamania.
Yep.
DDO store. A new item has been added to the store during the anniversary event called Party Punch, which provides a 5% chance to earn party favors every time an enemy is defeated for the next hour. Apparently that does not care about what level you are relative to the monster you're killing. Um,
Oh wow. Okay.
maybe not the intended behavior.
Probably
Um,
not.
Cordovan said that I think he said that he got about 100 favors while it was running, which does, roughly kind of times out to about the same amount if you were running the anniversary event for an hour, depending on how good you are at running it. But I
Right.
feel like that's a pretty average balance, um, which is
So the
pretty
idea
good.
is that you do this, so you get the party punch whatever potion, and basically go places where an unending mobs spawn, and after you do that for a long time, then you just go turn them in without ever doing the actual um, you know, anniversary event.
I think the intent is less that you would go farm a place that has a lot of mobs respawning, and more that you would just do normal things and get party favors.
But still, I mean, you don't. You're still not running the event.
Correct.
Okay, that seems kind of weird.
A little. It does a little bit. Um, but I'd like that the event that it's there. But Let's see. Epic Destiny stuff. Divine Crusader and Unyielding Sentinel. Confront any foe now uses different animations. Steelstar wrote about a little bit here. The pre-patch version of Confront Any Foe was heavily exploitable. To prevent this, they shifted it to a fairly standard special attack set that wouldn't have those issues. They understand that this means this ability may not be as worth taking as a result, and we are sorry that this exploit fix results in that. We're getting close to Destiny revamps later this year, and this issue won't persist through those changes. I'm assuming what he means there is they're gonna make it better as a result of. They're gonna try to make it more compelling, as opposed to bringing the exploit back. That would seem a little strange.
Yeah, a little bit. See, I never knew about this one. I didn't know. What I thought I knew was sometimes paladins can get, if they're specifically if they're a charisma based paladin, they can get ridiculous numbers of turned undeads.
Yeah.
And this would and if you had like 70 or something, you would basically could keep using it. But I'm getting the sense that it was more than that. It was, something along the lines of you could kind of similar to chopping, and you could get a lot of these procs in a very short period of time. I don't know. I don't know that because, like I said, I didn't know about this beyond the number of smites you get, or not smites, but turn on deads. Um, I just, this is just one of those ones that that I never took advantage of.
Let's see. Confront any foe, draw them out, and Celestial Mandate no longer apply bonuses that specifically apply to Smite Evil. These spells have also had their attack hitboxes adjusted to match other special melee attacks, as opposed to using the hitbox for Smite Evil. I could not tell you if that's. I'm not someone who really pays attention to hitboxes.
Hitboxes, yeah.
Other than when I'm hitting or I'm not.
I don't know.
And the hitbox of the Titan and Too Hot to Handle is too dang small.
Yeah. Did Celestial Mandate? One of the things is that evidently it has some sort of a range. If in the way that I read the ability, it was something along the lines of, this mandate could affect everything that would be in range for you. So I guess they mean, if you had they're in range of your weapon attack, for example. Is that right, or did it have an even much larger
Here, the next release
range
note
than that?
is draw them out and Celestial Mandate now correctly apply their listed extra hate to enemies in range of the melee attack and who are not being blocked by other objects.
So whereas it used to affect the entire room, it now only affects to those within weapon range, like it said it did.
Sure.
Okay.
Or it wasn't affecting them at all and was only affecting what you were hitting. I'm not entirely sure which.
I've seen somebody go down in PN and do Celestial Mandate and basically grab the entire room onto them as a tank. So
interesting. I always thought it was single target. Be honest.
okay.
Either I wasn't paying attention or I failed at reading or something. I don't know. But there you go. Let's see. Anything else to note? Meteor Swarm's cooldown. It looks like the Sorcerer version of the Meteor Swarm cooldown adjustment didn't take. They'll get that fixed. Yay.
I can't imagine. I saw the DDO post, the DDO forum post, where a guy just posted a brand new thread and pointed this out. And as you can probably, guess or imagine, some of the responses afterward were not very kind to the original poster.
Look, here's the thing that I have learned over the years. If more than 2 players know about it, the devs know about it.
Yeah. Still.
There have occasionally been things that I have pointed out to them, and like, oh yeah, we know about that. I'm like, wow, you guys found that out fast. So they they know a lot more than people think. So don't get angry at people for posting
Oh,
something like
nobody was.
that.
I
But
mean, I wasn't particularly angry. I was just like,
I know you weren't.
I'm just trying to think. Why would you say that?
Um, let's see. And patching speeds have been greatly increased. I haven't experienced that yet.
I haven't experienced that
Was that
either.
my question is, was that for this patch that just happened? Did that apply to that patch, or
I don't
was that for
know.
future patches?
Maybe it's for future
Yeah.
patches.
Some bugs. They're in the midst of working on fixes for several cosmetic issues. Some of those are related to Warforged and Bladeforged, and some of them are non. There's a bunch of cosmetic issues. Some of them
Yeah,
involve
a
hirelings and
lot.
stuff. Yeah, they're working on it. Not sure if it's gonna make the first Fallout bug fix patch or not, but they're working on it. Okay, let's talk about the producer's letter. With 2021 producer's letter. So Severlin wrote, "Happy 15th anniversary. We are excited to reach this milestone and are ever thankful to our players for making this possible." Here's some stuff they're going to talk about. I will paraphrase some of this just to make it shorter to read. The anniversary event is out. It features a few minor updates to the challenge itself, along with a large number of new items, which we talked about. And we talked about the gifts that they're distributing. Kind of skip over that. The release of the new raid, he talks about that. Marks the grand finale of Fables of the Feywild. Raid features the music of in-house composer Bill Champagne, who we interviewed at the end of last year, and DDO Players News also just recently interviewed. The idea of a musical raid has been kicking around for a while in the office. So, I do like the music. I'm not so sure about the lyrics and stuff. It's not the lyrics are bad. It's just the there's an odd thing of the DM voice is like they play it most of the time as a voice, like it's a DM doing that. Um, the singing here is look. I'm not saying it's bad, but the singing is not like Broadway soundtrack quality either. So
Yeah, but it's a relatively niche game with a limited budget. It could be due to I don't know if it's the singers or the recording facilities, but I'm not about ready to get super I'm not going to say super upset because you're not getting super upset, but I'm not really going to ding them for it.
no, I think it fits the world of DDO well,
Yeah.
but it also feels to me like Fearsome is a voice actor doing a voice and then trying to sing on top of that.
Mm.
um, so mileage may vary there, but it is. We talked about it. I do like the music though. I didn't mention that earlier. Like the background music, I'm really enjoying that. That music there. So, let's see.
Well, the composer, the Bill Champagne, is getting some press now, obviously with you and was that
It's great.
Axel's, you know, his podcast. So he's getting some love from the podcasting and news DDO news community. So
Yeah.
so good for him. It'd be nice to give the artists give them a time to shine for them as well.
Yeah, the music in DDO and over the years has not exactly been something that's been super highlighted, but there's some great music in there. So,
Yes, there is.
see, this spring brings the first hardcore season of 2021 to the game. The fourth hardcore season will feature some new and returning guests in the form of the minions of the 9 Dalekir Lords. You've met the Lord of Eyes and Lord of Stone, but have you met the rest? They're also planning to run a 5th season of hardcore later this year.
I don't get how they're going to introduce these new Dalkir lords because we don't have anything where they're in, right? I mean, unless you're going to put in new dungeons.
I don't think that's at all what's going to happen. I think it's more that they're the hosts. They'll be the hosts, as it were.
Oh, so no more Harry or the
Right.
what do you call it?
Season
They'll be
one.
standing around in the Hall of Heroes.
Season one, it was a Reaper. Season 2, it was Eretrico. Season 3, it was an Archon.
Right.
So,
Okay.
this next season,
That's
it
what
will
they mean.
be some or more than one of them. Not exactly sure how that's going to work, but
Hmm.
I'm not expecting any like specific content or anything like that.
Right. Okay.
The spring will also bring update 49. That includes 4 dungeons where you will help Margrave University hunt down lost relics in a series of adventures that feel somewhat Indiana Jones-like. Again, kind
Promises, promises.
of genre top. Alongside this adventure pack, the bow combat style is being revamped and will get new animations. I'm intrigued about the Indiana Jones like. Sounds kind of
Well, we got
interesting.
the hat. We had the cosmetic hats, or we got the hats in Sharn somewhere. So
Sure.
maybe.
Um, Also, like the other Morgrave University quest is the new one out in Searing Heights, Promise of Flame, Promise of Fire, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, and now that I think about it, it does kind of have an Indiana Jones like theme going with it, right? Like
Sure.
the traps and stuff like that. So I can see
Hmm.
where they're going with
Hmm.
that. By the way, going back to the hardcore season stuff, like twice a year feels pretty
Yeah.
good.
That's fine.
more
That's
time
fine.
in between, I like it.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit in a minute. This summer we'll see the release of the first quote mini expansion in Dungeons and Dragons Online in the form of the classic adventure, The Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh. An evil alchemist mansion stands alone on a cliff, and mysterious lights and hauntings have kept people away, despite rumors of great treasure. What's the secret? Uh, Debuting alongside this classic adventure will be the next universal enhancement tree called Horizon Walker, which focuses on marking and neutralizing extraplanar and other enemies with a bow. As they get closer to the release of Saltmarsh, they'll have more information about what to expect from a DDO mini expansion, the lessons that they learned from Lord of the Rings Online's first mini expansion last year, and plans to give more value to VIPs. We'll want to back burner the lessons that they learned,
Yeah.
because we'll talk about that when we talk about the Q&A that Severlin did.
Hmm.
But Secret of Saltmarsh sounds fun. I don't have any experience with it. It should be pretty clear by now that I don't have a lot of experience with classic D&D
Right.
modules or anything.
I can give you a little brief overview if you
30
feel like.
seconds.
Okay. So they start off with they're numbered U1, U2, and U3. There are 3 modules in the series. And the very first module, called the Sinister Secrets of Saltmarsh, first half of the module is in a town. Okay, the last half is in that mansion, and the U in U1, U2, and U3 stands for underwater. So the
Ooh.
second module has a lot to deal with lizard men, and the third module has a lot to deal with Sahagin. So for at least the latter part of this series of adventures are going to be underwater, I'm afraid, and I'm not really happy about that. Yeah, exactly.
Devs, if you're listening, please revamp underwater combat first.
Yes,
It's terrible.
yes.
Yeah. Uh, so I think a lot of people like Saltmarsh. So like the few people that I know that know about this thing are kind of excited about Saltmarsh. So that's cool. Um, I do really like their classic adventure stuff too. Um, Even Temple of Elemental Evil, like I like it. It's just go
Too
find. Yeah, it's
long,
long.
too big.
It's
Yeah.
long. It's big, and it's go find little tiny thing in this large
Yes.
maze.
Yes.
Um, but I like the adaptation. I really like it. Like I feel like they always do good work with it, even when I
Hmm.
don't like it. In fairness, I think Temple of Elemental Evil is the only one that I kind of don't like. It's not like I hate it. It's just the high side of don't like it, I guess you could say.
Right.
Let's see. This fall will feature a new set of new adventures and a raid revolving around the Wild Hunt, as well as a significant update to the Epic Destiny system. They're restructuring the core of the system, modernizing some trees and redesigning others, and making Epic Destinies more versatile by allowing players to have multiple Destinies active at the same time. again, we'll talk about Epic Destinies a little bit more on the live stream, which we're about to get to. The QA stuff they did. Wild Hunt sounds like we're going to go back to the Feywild. I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of it's not going to be tied into the
Witch Hunt.
no, it's not going to be tied into the expansion. Like you won't have to have the expansion to get the adventure pack. But I'm not sure what that's going to mean.
Yeah, not really sure.
Of the hooks in Feywild, the Wild Hunt does seem to be a good one to kind of explore some more.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
It's barely in there.
The notion of the Wild Hunt is I won't say universal, but I mean it's that's a big deal in Celtic mythology and all and Great Britain, part of the world. So
Yeah.
it's a big deal, and I'm looking forward to it.
Let's see. The other things to look forward to this year include a new Monster Manual volume. Yay!
Thank God. Jeez.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. It's been a couple, 2-3 years at least.
Yeah. A free dungeon to wrap up the year. Various updates to our various festivals, and more. Sounds all great. Want to thank you for continuing to make this game and community thrive, and we look forward to making 2021 a fantastic year for DDO. So the producer letter as a whole, boy, doesn't it feel like he's hedging their bets a little bit more than usual?
Yes. Yes.
A lot of it is,
yes.
oh geez, like the first half of it is stuff that came out with it.
Yes. Exactly.
Or was already out. Hardcore, like they gave us kind of a hint towards the theme of the fourth season, but not a lot of details on it. He gave us a roadmap of the quest breakdown, but like the Epic Destiny thing, Horizon Walker, Bows,
Wild Hunt,
the Monster Manual, like those are all stuff. That's all stuff we kind of already knew. The really only thing that feels new here is the packs coming out, like what they're going to be, what they're targeting them to be, and the win is pretty typical.
Salt Marsh,
yeah. So Salt Marsh, the Moorgrave stuff, the Wild Hunt stuff.
And don't forget the free dungeon towards the end of the year.
Which means we should expect to see 4 more releases this year. 4 releases this year.
I think that's what I think their schedule is at least 4 releases a year. So
spring, summer, fall, winter. So quarterly. Yeah, it feels about right. But they're talking about 4, 5. The other 2 don't really have. So 4 numbers that we know about. We'll kind of dovetail this into Severlin had Cordovan had a live stream Q&A on the Weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream. Hey Jerry, if you're listening, can we get a shorter name for that? Holy cow, it's a mouthful. He talked about Salt Marsh is basically why they're looking at doing a mini expansion is it's too big for a normal pack, but also probably can't turn it into a full expansion. Which is why they're kind of looking at it being a mini expansion. This is by no means set in stone or promised or anything, but he said he's thinking right now it's going to be a landscape and 8 to 9 dungeons. So if you pull out that 8 to 9 dungeons, plus the 5 we know about, plus the Wild Hunt, which I'll just take a stab and say is probably going to be 3 to 5. So that's what is that? 17 to 20 dungeons or so? Plus a raid?
I don't know. I think Wild Hunt might be its own big giant thing. I don't know that it's going to have multiple dungeons in it, but
this is a set of new adventures and a raid.
Oh, so, okay. I missed it then.
I'm thinking 3 to 5 there.
Right. Okay.
So somewhere between 15 and 20 dungeons this year. Feels pretty good. Plus a raid. Not counting the raid we just
Not
got.
counting this one, right?
Yeah. So it seems like what we can expect this year. Some other stuff we talked about, kind of grabbing some of the stuff that we kind of kicked off. The lessons learned from the mini expansion with Lotro, which
I
did
have no idea what they're referring to. I don't know anything about lessons or if it went bad or whatever. So I'm
it did not
completely new
go
to
great.
this.
I
Okay.
don't know all the details because I only casually pay attention. But one of the big problems was people didn't feel like they were getting a good value out of the mini expansion pack. I
So
think it
they
was
charge too much for it then.
well, I think it was the same cost as expansions had been in the past.
Right, right.
And it was like half the content. So Severlin talked about two of the big lessons that they learned are VIPs need to get more value. Whether that is he's not sure if that means that they need more stuff or to pay less. But that's kind of something that they want to look at. He did expand a little bit on VIP value in another section, saying he wants to make sure that VIPs are getting good value, especially during expansion times. They're actually apparently working on new tech to support that right now. So that's encouraging.
I have an idea. I've got a suggestion what you can do for
Mhm.
VIPs to give them more value for their subscription. Increase that VIP
Points.
experience from 10% to
Oh,
like a full to 20%. That would be really nice. Or 25%.
that would be nice. I would certainly not complain. From a game standpoint, I'm not. I don't know if that's really. You feel like that's needed? I mean, it would be compelling and nice, for sure. I don't feel like there's a dearth of XP to get in the game though. Um,
Well, one thing it would do, it would certainly feel like it's a better deal for VIPs. That would be a win for VIPs, but it would also be a win for SSG because if they add that 15%, like that we have now, right now for this weekend, if they made it a full 25%, experience, believe me, that would drive, auto boxes sales, for heroic auto box sales, because
sure.
you get real close. You get to 3.7 million experience, with the 15% VIP and all the 50% pots and all that, all your other stuff. You get, from a 2 million experience point stone, you get an extra 1.7 million experience out of it with all the boosts and stuff. And
If you
you know
boost that any more, I'm not gonna need to do any questing. Just eat the
that's right.
stone and be
Well,
up there.
believe me, to a lot of vets who have done the heroic stuff over and over and
Sure.
over and over again, that would be really appealing, I think.
Yeah. Um. Zermi in the chat is suggesting giving VIPs a $10 discount on expansions. Yeah, a discount from pricing is something that I've seen pop up a bunch. I thought you were going to say increase the point amount, the monthly point value you get.
That'd be nice. Maybe
Um,
double it, like maybe make it 1,000 points or something.
yeah, I don't know, 7,500 or 750 or 1,000. Yeah, something like that. Like that that to me feels like the lowest hanging fruit. If you want to give
Right.
VIPs more value, give us
And a
some
gold
more
roll every
points.
day. Gold roll
That
every
was pretty
day.
popular.
Yeah.
I don't know if I I don't know if I would say do it for every day. Uh, if that like I could understand maybe that's too much. But I could I think there's a place to have it be more often than once a week, right?
Oh, sure.
Uh, every 3 days or something like that. Maybe you get one like 72 hours or something like that, or I don't know, every 80 hours or something. That might work. I don't know. So that would be that's kind of some stuff he talked about. There is making sure VIPs feel like they're getting good value. He also said that they didn't do a good enough job to provide excellent value for the mini expansion pack. So there wasn't enough stuff in there. It wasn't good enough. Kind of a combination thereof with Lotro. I think those are the things that sound like they're most in the forefront of everything in the producer's letter, and really probably the producer's letter the last couple of times, the last couple of years. Mini expansion is probably the part that has me most on edge. It's a harder. I think a mini expansion is going to be harder to nail. And they're doing it as a mini expansion as a way to bring in more resources to do it in the first place. But
PJ, I don't think mini expansion would be hard to nail. I'll be honest with you. You know, half the content for the same price should have just been intuitively,
yeah,
that should have been intuitively a dumb idea.
yes, I
And
agree.
so I don't know. Maybe if it's going to be half the content, then charge half the price. How hard is that?
Sure. But I think it's more than just content though, right? Like,
Oh, sure, you get the cosmetics and all
there's a
the
lot of that stuff
stuff.
that kind
Yeah.
of goes in there that I don't know what let me put it this way. I feel like they've got expansion value fairly well dialed in, right? Like the last 3 expansions, like you can compare them across the board, and they're pretty similar, right? There's
Sure.
some variations, but pretty similar in what you get for the price points.
That's right.
So when I'm saying I think it's harder to nail, it's coming more from a place of if you change the price points or or deviate from the stuff you get from it, it becomes hard. But you just don't know how well it's going to be received, right? Like that's kind of really what I was getting at. So, and they didn't like the Lotro was not happy with their mini expansion, so that's got me a little on edge. Some other stuff that Severlin talked about. Isle of Dread came up again. He said everyone still wants to do dinosaurs, but it's just too big for this year. That sounds like the way he keeps talking about Isle of Dread is I am presuming that this is going to be an expansion level content. That's my guess here.
See, the Isle of Dread though was one module. It was X1, and I mean they could, it was an island. It was called the Isle of Dread. It had dinosaurs on it. I guess you could make it bigger than it actually was. With the TSR produced material. I mean, I guess you could make it, an expansion, but
It sounds like it needs a
this feels like the desert, the Anorak desert that was promised and never ever showed up. The Isle of Dread had really sounds and smells like vaporware. I mean, I don't think we're ever going to get it.
interesting. I think we'll get it because I think from what conversations I've had and heard, the devs are really excited about doing dinosaurs. I think the issue here is that it's an art investment. It's a heavy art investment. So, I hope we get it. I hope you're wrong.
I hope we get it too.
You might be
I
wrong.
hope, I
You
hope
might be
I'm
right,
wrong too. But it just had this feeling deep in my bones that we're just not going to see it.
we've been talking about Isle of Dread for what, 3-4 years?
At least.
I mean, heck, when Haunted Halls came out, I think people were like, Isle of Dread, next expansion pack, Isle of Dread.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about everyone's favorite thing. They talked about performance issues and lag. Apparently they've been experimenting with new infrastructure changes on Argon Essen.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations, Argo, you're the guinea pig.
News to me. I hadn't heard that, but
yeah.
Okay.
Again, they're looking at the effect system. They're looking at revamping the proc system to be more unified.
Whatever the hell that means.
Yeah, this one has a lot of people on edge. He talked about needing to look at replacing haste boosts with something else.
Mm-hmm.
The
double
issue here
strike and
being
double shot. You know,
the issue
is what
being
it's
that
going to
how
be.
fast you're
Yep.
getting things, right? Like
Yep.
that's kind of the issue.
Yep.
Um. So, and wouldn't be the first time that they've done stuff like that.
Well, they did it to the monks. That's the first. That's the first place they did it. They slowed down monks and gave them. You know, they like in wind stance. You know, monks used to attack like an extra 10% faster or 20% faster.
I think they still
Then
actually get a
they
speed boost. It just
halved
doesn't
it.
stack with haste.
Right. Well, they halved it, and then they also to make up for that halving, they gave you a double strike.
So
So
back when Tower of Despair was kind of the end game, they made a huge change to 2-weapon fighting, and I can't
right,
remember if
that
that
was
was
5. That was update 5
right. I'm trying
or
to. I
7.
can't remember if
It's way
monks were
back then.
around then. If what you're talking about was part of
Oh
that.
yeah.
That's
Oh yeah.
why
They were around then.
that's where I'm not sure on. It's been so long.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there was definitely a huge change there, right? Because it
Yep.
used to be that the offhand weapon was doing a collision check as well. The offhand, this is where the offhand percent chance came from, was they took away that collision check.
Hmm.
Um, so not the first time we've had to look at something like that. He did say that when he was talking about possibly having to take that out and replace it with something else, he did say like it's something else really good. So I think he's at least aware that taking away haste boost is gonna ruffle some feathers, and uh, you know, putting something in there that's not a straight up nerf is something that they're looking at with that, I think. But I don't know, that also seemed less sure and more kind of theoretical
Oh yeah.
um, than a lot of this other stuff. He also mentioned that the internet during COVID has been pretty bizarre. In
Well, a
his
lot more
words,
people staying home and using it,
yeah.
so there's probably bound to be some effects from that.
He talked about bringing in some more resources. I've heard that they're bringing in some consulting
Yeah.
with that, but I haven't seen anything very
Well.
concrete about that. I've heard
Well.
some stuff, but
Yeah. It's it's not a secret. I mean, it's semi out in the open, PJ. It's this is nothing that we can't find out, and it's what it is. It's they're bringing in consultants, and it's Stormflag Games. Uh, it's are gonna be looking at how to reduce lag, and storm and the founders, rather the yeah, I guess the founders of Stormflag Games is none other than Fernando and Kate Pies, and
right, which were the
this has
first
got me
two executive
right.
producers, right?
Well, no. I guess was Quarian the first executive producer?
Oh boy, too far back.
Right, but Fernando was the executive producer for a very long time, and then his wife Kate got involved, but she was only for a very short period of
Yeah,
time.
it was like a hot minute.
But yes, exactly. And then 2015 rolled around, and they were suddenly no longer with SSG, or rather Turbine, before it became SSG. And I got to tell you, that does not um, that does not fill me with confidence.
Fair enough.
You know, the game had gotten spaghetti coated, as what some people would like to call it, while they were in charge. And I mean, so there's an argument to be made that this is a good thing, and that is because supposedly Games hired a lot of people that used to work for Turbine. So if anybody knows where the skeletons are buried in the code, it is those folks, right? So there's an argument for bringing them in because they already know the system. So so that's, I guess that's good, but then again, they're the same folks that screwed it up in the first place.
Right.
Pardon my language. So how much are they really going to be able to fix it?
That's the
So
tension, right? Like, do you bring in people
yeah,
who are less? The more people are familiar with the system, the more they are the ones who built the system
right.
that needs fixing. Uh, yeah, I don't. We'll see. Hopefully, look, here's the positives. They're investing more resources in the problem. That's good. It's at least better.
It's good if it's the right place to invest the resources.
Sure.
I mean, could you invest in a different consulting company that could actually straighten it out better? Maybe, I don't know. But it's a good, real good news, bad news situation here, and I have no idea how it's going to turn out.
Let's see. Other things. He talked a little about the looks of things. They're currently working on half elf looks, I guess, adding some half elf looks.
What's the
Severlin,
matter? You don't like NFL folks?
um, to be honest, I think it's been a while since I really looked at half elf looks.
I hear you.
Um, but Severlin definitely alluded to the general dislike of how half elves look.
Yes, no, they were awful. No, they're awful. They're absolutely awful.
Also, they're actively working on new hairstyles and color. That may be a thing that can come out mid-year. That was pretty cool. Let's see. Probably get some game engine updates and graphic updates longer term. That's kind of a longer term being at least not until 2020 kind of a thing.
2022.
Or sorry, 2022.
Yeah.
You mentioned that the artists want better tools and particle effects.
Okay.
The artists want shinier paint.
Well, I guess I can't blame them. I mean, the game's 15 years old. You would figure,
Fair.
there are better tools out there by now.
Given what they have though, they do a pretty good job, I think.
They do a great job. The artists do a great job for DDO.
There are some areas that I don't like, but it is not for lack of skill.
Right.
It's just aesthetics.
Right.
And hey, like said with genre, like if you put it enough in, right, like there's gonna be things that people like and people don't like. That's just how it goes. Let's see, Reaper mode. He talked a little bit about this. They want to revisit Reaper mode, but it sounds like revisiting it is just kind of getting more questions.
Yeah, there's a little bit further down in the notes
Yeah.
where I had something to say about Reaper mode. So let's.
Okay, we can kind of kick some of that down there. But they do want to provide more options. They talked a little bit about the Mirrors of Glamoring wardrobe a wardrobe holder.
Which is really funny you should say that, because on the live cast, where Jerry was talking to Severlin, amazingly, there's this wardrobe that opens up on the screen, and no, that's not it.
No,
Wasn't the wardrobe.
no, the
That's
mounts.
for the
Yeah,
pets, the mounts.
the
Yes.
mounts.
So I imagine they could do something very similar
So
for
what
wardrobe,
Severlin was talking about
for
here was that the
cosmetics.
way that Mirrors of Glamoring work make a bag like that, a storage system like that, very difficult. My understanding is it has something to do with the Mirror of Glamoring creates an item that is tied to the original item in some way, and like that connection is proving to be problematic for that. However, he did talk about something like that for mounts, and they actually he popped it up and showed it. Much to the glee of Linabelle, who apparently has been working on this for a couple months and tinkering away at it. But they're looking at changing how mounts work. So instead of having a token in your inventory, you add tokens to a repository, kind of like Cosmetic Pets.
Right. Okay.
So that looked pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it did.
So and they did post a picture of it. They did also mention that don't pay attention to the icons.
Don't pay attention to the guy behind the curtain. Yeah.
Yeah. They're kind of some of them are placeholdery. So,
Yes.
but it was pretty cool, and possibly
cool.
one of the things that people most glammed onto out of the whole thing.
Well, when you talk about inventory issues, that's a real thing. So yeah, I don't blame them for glomming onto it.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Well, the fun thing about this too is like because you get the tokens and you turn them in Borderlands, and like the mounts are like bound to character. I think.
Yes.
This would make it so you could use it on anyone on that server. So.
Yep.
Awesome.
That'd be nice.
Let's see. Where were we? Hardcore season in April. We talked a little about that. They did not commit to when the other one would be, but
nope.
I'm assuming it's going to be a couple months in between. 4K scaling again came up. Long term, yes, they really want to do that. The issue really comes down to scaling. Mostly that they need to redo all the graphics and icon to avoid pixelizing.
So let me ask you this question then. So they did do the 4K UI upscaling for Latro. Does that necessarily mean that when they did the icons originally that they did them at a much higher resolution?
I don't know. That could mean that. It could also just mean that they devoted resource time to updating them. That could also
be. They don't want to update
true.
that resources here. Okay.
So again, this is something they want to do. Like Severlin very much wants to. People on the team very much want to do that. It's he's talked in the past about like the two most pinched resources are engineering and art.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where the holdup is. I seem to recall, don't quote me on this, but I seem to recall there being some talk about how now that it's been done, like it was done on Lotro, that I think they can divert some resources into doing that on DDO. I'm not sure if there's other things in between there, but it is something that they want to do. But again, we've been talking about this almost as long as we've been talking about Isle of Dread, so.
Yep. Or longer.
This one, I thought this was going to be interesting. He talked a little bit about level downscaling. So this is there are some games out there that if you join someone who's lower level than you and lower content, it kind of scales you down, so you're not overpowering them. He said it's something that they've talked about, but Halo effects are a really big concern, and the system just wasn't built with backscaling in mind.
Right.
Probably because I don't think that was really something anyone did back then either.
Right. Yeah. It was all it's progression, not backscaling. Yeah.
So that's kind of a thing there.
I would, level downscaling. I would put that probably so far down the pike, it probably would never happen. As far as and prioritizing wise.
I don't feel like there's a benefit. Like I think people like to pull it up on this idea of like getting new players in. I'm just not sure that it's going to do that. Like just roll it. Like people can roll a new character to run with them, right? Like, yeah, it's not a huge investment to do, I don't think. But, let's see. The default server changing more often. He said that was less a decision to leave it the same longer and just more oversight that they didn't change it. So they're going to try to change it more often.
How hard is it to put it like on a calendar, on somebody's calendar, like Jerry's calendar or Linabelle's calendar, somebody's calendar, to just go ahead and just change the default server? Is that hard to do?
No, but if that person suddenly stops being that person, or if depending on how sometimes things get delegated to the floor and they just don't get done.
It gets lost.
Yeah. Look, of all the things that get lost, I feel like that's not a huge one.
I agree.
In the grand scheme of
I
things.
agree.
He did say that there's a couple weeks work left still to form the Players' Council. He briefly talked about mega servers, which they're not going to really even look at until performance issues are addressed, which good.
Makes sense.
Yeah. He did mention, he did talk a little bit about how they have done some test things that were encouraging with it, so that's good. But I don't think they're very far along with it. They were just kind of doing some testy stuff.
Yeah.
TR caches came up. People were asking about, hey, can we improve the TR cache? And Severlin said, let me paraphrase this. No, TR cache is not storage. However, we definitely wanted to have a character bank that is more robust and give players better storage solutions so they don't leave stuff in the TR cache.
Right.
I think that was kind of a pretty good way of putting it.
Yep.
To which I say, yay.
Yep. Good.
Sounds great.
Yep. I'm all for that. Yep. Absolutely.
Player housing, he said he'd love to, not this year. I think he actually talked about that for both games. Reaper wings. Wait, that I'm not sure. Reaper came in here. So we got a little more into Reaper stuff. The trees offer so much power that new players can't participate. Was one thing that he brought up, which. Oh, you wanna talk about it, or do you want me?
It's PJ. It really just it boils down to in this, as far as of changing Reaper around a little bit. The mistake was, and this was pointed out, by multiple players, including myself, that it would be a mistake to offer in-game power, you know, with power creep, um, with Reaper, and this is him figuring out, or seeing that we were right. The Reaper power has grown. I mean, it's given, while it's given a lot of players something to do,
Yeah,
to run Reaper content, and this was an incentive uh, to do it. I just think it was the wrong incentive, and because it's in-game power, power creep, if you will, it has the divide between new players and the experienced players has only gotten wider, and it seems to me a chasm right now that's going to be impossible for new players to cross and make up. So
yeah.
it was a mistake in the beginning, and everybody told them that there was a mistake. Not everybody, but a lot of people told them that this was a mistake, and now this is finally Severlin and the team finally seeing that it was a mistake.
I don't think it's a
So,
finally seeing as much as it is that it's
or at least there's finally acknowledging it anyway.
they are acknowledging it more clearly as time goes on.
Yes.
Um, you know, I think that I like the direction they went in. I think the numbers are just a little too high in some places, and I think most of that just comes down to the hit points. Like, I don't feel like the rest of the boosts in the trees are.
The DCs? Are
But
you kidding? The DCs for the wizard
like 4
tree, or the
DC.
spellcaster tree. I mean, there's a lot of extra DCs in there. I mean, at least
It's
5, I think.
I think it's only 4 plus the stat
Okay.
boost increases.
Yeah. So that's a lot, and I guarantee you that
Oh, but they
they've
also get
increased.
but that doesn't fully offset the bonuses that monsters get to saves. So
Maybe it doesn't fully offset, but it makes it,
sure.
it at least makes the players who go and do Reaper content competitive in doing the R1 or whatever it is, Sharn stuff. But
So
but for new players that don't have those, for many of them, they'll feel useless.
so here's the thing that I'll say. Like I think you're right. Right. Like there's a balancing issue here, but I also think that there's a problem with how players treat Reaper mode. In that Reaper mode is kind of like a snowball going down the hill, right? The more you do it, the better you get, and the more that you can do it. And
Yeah.
I think there is, I feel like there's a sizable piece of population that say, oh, those people are doing R10s, I should be able to do R10. but I don't have any Reaper points, so I can't do R10. Well, those people have 100 Reaper points. That's how they're able to
Right.
do R10, right? So
Yep.
there's, I think there's a fault in design, but I think there's also a fault in attitude
And expectations. I
and
agree.
expectations. So
I agree.
I think we have to be a little careful there. But yeah, there is power there, and I think if it was just purely cosmetic, some people wouldn't do it.
Well, it wouldn't, and it shouldn't just be purely cosmetic,
Right.
because you're right. People wouldn't do it if it was just purely cosmetic, because cosmetics aren't, it doesn't satisfy the competitive, side of people. If you, however, made it cosmetics and you had a ladder of some sort where you could compare where you were with the this guy you were running with the other day and say, oh, now I get to now I have to work to pass him,
Yeah.
on the ladder. If you had some sort of a mechanism to satisfy the competitive itch that is in guilds like ours, you know then I think that would be helpful. That would be a way to still make Reaper relevant.
Yeah. The thing he said here was that revamping the system of trees to make player experience more even.
And again, that's not going to help either, because the best
Yeah.
players, no matter what you do, even if you toned it down a bit, there would still be the best players would still find a way to take advantage of it, of in-game power grants, to
Yeah.
gain significant advantages, to beat whatever challenges the devs could throw at them. I mean, you know, Reaper rewards again should still be cosmetic and prestige only. They're trying to scale it back, and put the genie back in the bottle,
That ain't
but
gonna happen.
the genie's not gonna ever get back in the bottle until they, open the bottle wide, stuff that damn genie in there, and then weld it shut.
That's
They're
gonna be a
they're
really hard sell for a lot of players.
I hear that,
And
but that's the way that it's got to be. If they're gonna quote unquote fix Reaper, they gotta
I don't think they need
bite
to
the
be
big
that
one.
drastic
They
about it.
got the. I. It seems to me that's really the only solution, PJ. I mean, they're trying to take half measures in order to stumble across. Hey, well, maybe this is the answer. Well, I can tell you right now that ain't gonna be the answer. Half measures are not gonna be the answer.
Some comment in the chat from this too is Reaper players simply need to be more patient with entry level Reaper players.
Oh, come on.
I
Oh,
don't
stop
find
it.
that to be. I find that to be a response more from the perspective of the entry level players is the quote Uber players. I don't feel like they're being that. Um, but I think it's less that and more that people tend to do it with friends more than anything else. But
Yeah.
that's my experience. Um, there not to say that there aren't players that do that and don't create a positive experience for the entry level players. But I don't think I see a lot of comments that are based on this idea that entry level players having a negative experience with veteran players, and I think that's mostly how I think it's mostly a false construct. and
Well,
and
you know what? I think you know what? I think it's going to be really. It's not really so much the Uber players need to be patient with the newer players. I think it's the new players need to have their expectations managed better. Like you
yeah,
said earlier, the new players think that they're entitled to do R10,
yeah,
and I think that's right. I think you're right there.
and yeah, there's a lot of stuff there going both directions. Um, so uh, they also Severlin did also mention that different Reaper wing colors is something that they can look into. He seemed to be on board with that.
Yeah, that's easy, I
Uh,
think.
Greyhawk, he said, is very unlikely. The biggest thing there kind of revolved around the idea that they already have two world settings they're trying to support, and he doesn't seem to see a value in doing a third. Also, they've been kind of sneaking in some quote Greyhawk-like things.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing just fine with that.
I agree.
Planescape, he said it's really big, maybe too big. So
it's going to be a separate game. That's got to be a separate game.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they made a Planescape game, and if they made a Planescape Online kind of thing, it would have that. I mean, you're talking about, you know, various different worlds, various planes of existence. I mean, it's huge. I mean, it's its own game for sure.
Yeah. Let's see other stuff. He said he'd love to do psionics. The big thing here is the scoping is really big. It took them almost 3 times longer with Alchemist to do the full spell tree because they made all new spells than they expected. So that's kind of the problem with psionics.
Agree.
Scroll Seal Shard stuff, he kind of talked about it's always a chance. They've touched on it before, but it's really kind of going through old content. Class balance stuff. So they're trying to touch on it around hardcore seasons. Really wish he would have given me a better hope for the cadence than just that. We talked about that recently. The focus right now is on bows. He said the problem there is it's more than just numbers. The animations and animation speed and how they work with attack speed are really holding it back. So what they're doing right now is really getting into the animations, redoing the animations. He said they look really good, so that's encouraging.
Good.
Part of the reason why they're focusing on bows is because it affects. It's not just like a one class thing; it affects a lot of classes.
Yeah.
So bigger bang for the buck.
Yeah.
Epic Destinies. So work here is gonna. They want them to work more like heroic enhancement trees. They want it to be much more open, as opposed to feeling kind of inaccessible. Spending across multiple trees, opening up more build opportunities. He talked about like opening up options and flavors for Epic Destinies. He did talk about having a pool of points to spend at the start, and then you get more as you level.
Right.
Which is kind
There's
of
your level gating.
Yeah, which for me was kind of like, okay, I want to see this.
No, and I think that's right.
More.
I think that's right. I think that's the right way to do it.
Yeah, it's just a matter of I want to see what that means, right? Like I'm on board with the concept, but I want to see more of
how
it
actually works out. No, I agree.
But part of what they're looking at here is a quote dead level experience. Like the levels that what this means, like the levels that you don't get anything, right? You just
22, 23, 25.
Yeah. To kind of have some stuff there. He said that they know players want some more work on monks.
I do.
Yep. He said he wants the finishing moves to feel better, which I think would be great. They don't feel super great. They're a little clunky to use too.
Right, for sure. I used to use the finishing moves all the time when monks came out. I was one of the only people that ever did. Back then. And they should mean something. And
I use the light ones when I remember about them, and they seem relevant. I hardly ever use the negative ones, which probably to my detriment.
Dark monks. Ooh, dark monks. Yeah, exactly.
Who plays those anymore?
Nobody.
Yeah. One last thing on the Epic Destinies is the goal is to not have the level gating be a concern. So that's something that I want to get there.
I'd be curious to see that, but okay.
He did say for the Sentient Dragon Gem, they should look at adding more opportunities to get more. And on guilds, he conceded that they don't touch guilds enough. They have specifically put in for extra resources for both games in this. And apparently the last stateroom keeps getting bumped down.
Oh, God. How hard is it really to do the DPS Kobold testing room? I mean, come on.
I don't know. I heard something from someone who heard it from someone who heard it from someone kind of thing. Like there's actually like some like big hang up on that. I don't know what that is. Yeah.
I couldn't imagine.
Like it wasn't. I think it was something. It sounded like someone looked into it and was like, "Oh, it'll be really easy. I'll just do this." Oh no, everything just broke. kind of a thing. So,
Okay.
um, you know, even if they just make a new DPS tester, like that would be fantastic. I think
Sure. Maybe
people would
maybe give that stupid thing in the whatever it is a lot more hit points. You know,
the
the
dummy.
dummy, the test dummy. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think they're because it's a really clear way of doing DPS testing
Mhm.
and stuff. And I think it'd even be kind of fun if it was like, all right, here, we're gonna give you this room that's gonna have like 4 of them spaced out around the room, right? So you could even do some fun testing in terms of like, oh, I'm a range and I can shoot through one and hit the other, or like a two-handed fighter could hit 2, right?
Right. Hmm.
So you
For
could,
strike through. Yeah.
yeah, with strike through stuff. I think that would be really kind of a fun way to kind of tie that in,
Sure.
and add that into there. So, uh, DPS mini games is what they're saying in the chat. Yeah, yeah, something like that. That
That'd
works.
be nice. That
Yeah.
could be fun.
Uh,
You
and
could
if
have
you're
like two stand right next to each other, and you have two guys, and there's like a light that goes off,
uh,
like a drag race,
yeah.
and then boom, this guy's way more DPS than this other guy, kind
See,
of thing.
this sounds less like a stateroom and more like a revamp of the danger room.
Yeah, yeah, no, that would be cool. That would
um,
be cool.
yeah, it'd be fun. So there you go. That's the Q&A stuff. And the chat went a little bit longer on the Reaper stuff, and I'll just say like you didn't need to be part of the Amper Temple farming stuff to catch up. It's do it at whatever speed you want, but I think if you're looking to catch up in terms of Reaper points, I will say the best piece of advice I think I can give you is do what's comfortable, right? Like, and that may change over time and go up, but if you're already doing past lives and you get up to, you just do everything on like R3 and go through and go all the way up to legendaries and do most of the content on R3 or 4, like you're gonna get 300,000 to 400,000 Reaper XP a life, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to do R10s, and to be honest, most people R10s are actually going to be slower. You may
Oh
get
yeah.
more per quest, but if you're only getting 50% more and it's taking you 3 times as long to complete, that's not a better ratio. So
Agreed.
you don't have
Agreed.
to do R10s. Many, or another way to say it is many of these wounds are self-inflicted.
No,
Uh,
agreed. Absolutely. That's why I don't do Reapers. The tune that I had with the most Reaper points is my two-handed fighting
yeah,
barbarian. He has 21.
yeah.
He has 21, and I just don't get all upset about
Also,
Reaper. I just don't.
all the Reaper points in the world don't just make you a better player, right?
Right.
Like that it doesn't mean that if
Tune better, but they don't make you a
yeah,
better
you can
player.
have 100 Reaper points. It doesn't mean that you're gonna start waltzing through R10s everywhere.
Right.
Um, bonus days. This is a fun bonus week.
It's a great bonus days.
Yeah,
Holy horse potatoes.
15% heroic and epic XP along with a 15% VIP XP boost through March 3rd. So we get whole like extra 3 days of that.
Hmm.
So woohoo. Once you know it, the same week that I have the most work I've had in a year. Go figure.
Yeah, and I don't really have any time to take off, so yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you.
Don't get me wrong, like I'm happy with the work and stuff. It was just kind of funny. Sales. Happy 15th DDO. Get 15% off of all races, all classes, and all iconics in the DDO store. All ability, action point, XP, skill, and fate tomes in the store through March 4th. So you can get all of them. It says all.
Everything. Pretty
Yeah.
much everything. Yeah.
Wishes of Inheritance are back again. So this is the item that you can move bound character from one character on your account to another. That's available through March 7th. Double bonus points is through March 7th. And then the standard sale is 20% off of select adventure packs and quest XP elixirs. through March 4th, and the coupon code is one party punch. The coupon code punchy through March 4th. So if you want to try that out, here's the way to do it. Get a free one. Fantastic. Like, great. I love it.
Right. Can't hurt you. It's free.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Go do it. Get some party favors. Apparently, you can get about 100 in an hour out of it if you're not really even being too serious about it, which should be enough to get you like the Cobalt gem if you wanted it, or the new Cosmetic. So hey,
or the new
Pet.
Dretch.
Yep.
Pet. Yeah.
Yep. Also that.
Yeah, that's what I would do it for. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about community news. The 415th Chronicle it's highlighting the 15th anniversary celebration and Severlin's Q&A. So if you want to watch that stuff for yourself when you don't want my paraphrasing and such, you can go watch that yourself.
Right. If you don't believe us, watch it yourself.
It's only about 50 minutes. I mean, look, I'm working off of, to be honest, like I'm just working off of the notes that I took, right? So, you'll get it from him yourself if you have time.
Yep.
Comment for the week. You rolled a 15. What happens?
Critical.
Wow, you've got a great critical threat range.
I've got a what do you call it? One of those scimitar. I'm good.
This is totally off topic, but I saw a picture from one of our guildies that had a critical threat range of like -80 to 20. Or something like that.
Yeah. How the heck does that happen?
I don't know. That was pretty funny. Let's see. Fansite news. DDO players discusses the produce. Oh, my answer. I rolled a 15. I hit the monster.
There you go.
DDO players news discusses the producer's letter and more. So you can check out their show. We got a shout out for our episode last week. And DDO stream is your first stop to find DDO on Twitch. This week is highlighting Brock and Friends, Bard Life, and DDO PL. Also on Twitch, Snowfall31, Voodoo Spice, and Newbie Cabra got shoutouts. And on YouTube, Strim Tom, Six Sides of Gaming, and Dirty William all got shoutouts there.
Dirty William, isn't that a great name? I mean, that's
he's actually been around for a while.
I didn't know. I'd never even seen them.
Yeah, he's been around for quite a while.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, the last thing to note here, they came out with a new dev diary, Creating the Illusionist. So this was Linabelle wrote about his experience with how the Fate Dark Illusionist came to be. Which I think was a really neat peek in terms of the progressive nature of like creating it, right? Like how it started and kind of moved through iterations. Did you get a chance to read it?
No, I didn't even see this.
Check this out.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up.
The other two things that I'll say about it is I'm really interested in a Drunken Master and Revenant universal enhancement trees, which were mentioned as ideas. I'm intrigued.
Okay.
Also, apparently, at one point, Fate Dark Illusionist had a stage magic theme, which, of course, I'm very interested in seeing what that actually looks like.
Like, you mean like pull a rabbit out of your hat?
Yeah.
Levitate the floating lady kind of thing?
Yeah. Something like that.
Okay.
Some of the... Let's see, we're going to find it really quick. So some of the ability names were For My Next Trick, Nothing Up My Sleeve, and Look Over There.
Oh, okay, I see.
And Confetti apparently was also part of that as well. So there you go.
They already have that effect in the game, so why not?
So that's stuff happening out there. Don't forget to check out D&D Night Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern. There will not be a new episode tonight just because of life. Life happened. That's kind of what's going on there.
That awfully inconvenient life is sometimes.
Yeah, right. Especially in the year that goes on and on.
Right.
DDOCast will be off again this week, but we should be back the week after.
Okay, good.
So just kind of figure out what we're going to do. But that's most Wednesdays, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time on twitch.tv/DDOcast. You can watch me and Arkat and a couple others play DDO.
Boy,
Uh,
that's fun. I got to tell you, watching me do anything.
I mean, you could tune in to hear us talking about it for the 2 minutes we talk about cosmetics, but not everyone's
Oh
into
God,
that. So,
no, not everyone. I know that for a fact.
all right, we're gonna close out the show here. So thanks, Arkat, for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me again,
Yeah,
PJ. I
absolutely.
appreciate it. It's fun.
Uh, these are always fun shows talking about the producer's letter and kind of some stuff that's in there. So,
Sure.
and we got the Q&A at the same time. Would have been a little nice if they maybe would have split that up between two of our shows, but whatever.
Whatever.
Let's see. So thanks for listening to the show. Thanks to Arkat. Thanks to all the contributors for DDOCast and to San Diego Games and Wizards of the Coast and to Cyber Ears for hosting the podcast. If you'd like to support the show, you can visit our website, ddocast.com, or you can support us on Patreon. You can also subscribe to us on Twitch, watch us on YouTube and stuff. That should all. I should make a brief producer's note here. I have been turning on some monetization stuff with the channels and stuff.
Oh.
So I don't really expect that to change people's experience. But if you see ads that you really don't want to see in there, feel free to email me and I'll see what I can do about that. I'm not gonna make any promises about it, but so that's some stuff that your experience may change a little bit. I'm not sure. I'm not intending to change it a lot, but just know that's kind of out there. If you have a DDO-themed webpage or you Twitch DDO and you'd like to be featured on our website, you can email us at ddocast@gmail.com. You can hit us up at ddocast.com for show notes, MP3s, our calendar, previous shows, and other fun stuff. If you have a comment on this episode, a question you'd like to hear us answer, a topic you'd like to hear us discuss, or you just want to say hi, you can leave a comment, or you can email us at ddocast@gmail.com. Based on our discussion and some of the stuff in the chat, maybe I'll throw in a beginner's guide to getting Reaper XP or something in the
that'd be
near
nice.
future. It seems
Sure.
like something that might be to kind of dive into that a little bit more, and we'll see what happens. Anyways, you can find us on social media and follow us latest cast updates at DDOcast on Twitter is the best place. There's a Facebook page. Twitter is going to be more reliable for you, a little more inclusive.
Not much of a Facebooker, are you?
No. Well, it's not that. I just tend to the short version is that my broadcasting software is tied into the Twitter account, so it blasts
Okay.
to the Twitter
Well, there you
account
go.
when I do something.
Well, that makes it more convenient.
Right
I
now,
got
so
it. Makes sense.
yeah. So, anyways, may all your attack rolls be crits, all your chest level appropriate. Have fun, and don't forget to gather for bus.